Jiblix was once RuneScape's most trusted player moderator. He was close with Jagex staff, admired by thousands, and seen as a model player. But then, he made a video that upset Jagex so deeply, they stripped him of everything publicly. What followed was one of the most explosive community uprisings in RuneScape history. So why did Jiblix speak out? Did he go too far? And why would Jagex punish him so harshly? This is the story of how one video nearly broke RuneScape. Jiblix's tale begins right in the middle of RuneScape's golden era, in mid-2006, when he first discovered the game. Like most players who started back then, it wasn't long until he was completely hooked, and found himself playing the game for hours a day. After a few months of playing, he learned about another player's accomplishment, which would completely change the trajectory of his RuneScape career. A player named Mr. Fred had just become the first level 3 skiller to accomplish level 99 runecraft, an amazing feat, especially back then. For those unfamiliar, a level 3 skiller is a player who avoids combat entirely, keeping their combat level at the lowest possible. 3. It's the playstyle for people who see RuneScape's dragons and bosses and say, I'm more of a rock guy. And you know what? I can respect that.
I just think they're neat.
In 2008, Jiblix would abandon his original account and create a new one, this time committing fully to the challenge of playing as a level 3 skiller. No matter what cool new combat-related content released, he swore to himself that he would stay the course and remain at level 3 combat. Jiblix quickly got to work, and by the end of 2008, had already achieved level 99 in 5 different skills. He would also open a YouTube channel the same year where he would both show off his accomplishments and create guides for other level 3 skillers. His account quickly caught the attention of a few Jagex moderators, who Jiblix would soon befriend. Throughout late 2008 and 2009, pretty much every time Jiblix threw a party for reaching another 99, there would be at least one Jagex moderator in attendance and a handful of player moderators. It likely doesn't come as much of a surprise that in late 2009, Jiblix would be invited to be a player moderator. The only power player moderators really had back then was the ability to temporarily mute players who they found to be breaking the game's rules. But the real perk of the job was, and really still is, having this little silver crown next to your name. It helps you stand out in a sea of text and ensures that you'll never have a normal conversation ever again. At the same time, Jiblix would also be invited to be a forum moderator, meaning he would now have a set of editing tools to remove or change any rule-breaking content he came across on the forums. Forum moderators didn't get any in-game benefits, but they got a little green crown next to their name when posting on the forums. Holding both roles at the same time was actually a really big deal, and showed just how much trust Jagex had in him. But then, tragedy struck. In April of 2010, Jagex released a new skill called Dungeoneering into RuneScape. Now, Dungeoneering being added is tragic enough, but it gets worse. While giving this new skill a try, Jiblix accidentally gained 4 magic levels, thus pushing his combat level to 5. The entire purpose of his account, being a level 3 skiller, was now ruined. Jiblix was obviously heartbroken, but instead of quitting the game, he changed goals. He would now put his focus on getting level 99 in every skill, combat skills included. Although being a level 3 dual moderator was amazing and had turned him into a bit of a rising star in the RuneScape community, he remained quite popular even after changing goals. So much so that in 2010, Jagex invited him to their headquarters and gave him a free ticket to RuneFest for no other reason than just being one of their best moderators. Jiblix may have been one of their most trusted moderators then, but soon he'd become one of their biggest problems. Things were about to get messy in RuneScape, but real life doesn't have to be. Father's Day is right around the corner, and this year it's time to get something Dad will actually use. Meet the Chairman Pro from Manscaped. This isn't just any razor. It's packed with high-tech features that he'll love. It features a 360-degree contouring head, 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades, and flex adjust technology, because his face isn't flat and his razor shouldn't be either. Plus, it's waterproof for easy use and cleanup. It has up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge and even includes a digital battery display, so no need to guess when it's time to recharge. If you're still not convinced, Manscaped also offers a 2-year warranty on powered devices. So use promo code Colonello for 15% off your entire order. That's 15% off with promo code Colonello at manscaped.com. Or if you need it today, you can find Manscaped at a store near you. In 2011, RuneScape was nominated for a Golden Joystick Award in the category of Free-to-Play Game of the Year, alongside World of Tanks and League of Legends. Now, Jagex was no stranger to the Golden Joystick Awards. They had won the UK Developer of the Year award in 2009 and 2010. Both years, they seemed to win by a pretty comfortable lead. In fact, they won by such a landslide in 2009 that the voting website crashed from the sheer number of RuneScape fans flooding in to support them. As a thank you, Jagex would release the Golden Cracker in December of 2010. When used on another player, it awards a Golden Hammer with 2 unique emotes, one for each year they had won a Golden Joystick. Jagex hoped to add a 3rd emote soon, assuming they could secure another win in 2011. Just like previous times, they would simply put out a news post asking players to vote for them and hope for the best. This strategy had worked well for them in the past, so they were likely expecting yet another easy win. But this time, they hadn't accounted for Jiblix. In the past few months, Jiblix had become very disillusioned with RuneScape. He had been playing for over half a decade at this point, and in his eyes, the game was currently in a terrible spot. RuneScape was no longer the game he fell in love with. But why? In early 2008, Jagex made one of the most controversial updates in RuneScape's history. Practically overnight, they turned the wilderness, the chaotic, lawless PvP zone that had become the heart of the game, into a safe zone. Players could no longer fight each other here, removing both its danger and money-making potential. At the same time, they introduced a harsh trade limit that prevented players from transferring any sort of significant wealth. These changes were aimed at cracking down on real-world trading, the act of buying and selling gold for real money, and the rampant botting that fueled it. But for many players, it felt like Jagex had gutted the soul of the game in the process. For the first time ever, RuneScape's player count began to decline. So in 2011, they decided it was time to revert these changes. The wilderness would once again become dangerous, and you could trade whatever you wanted with anyone. By now, Jagex believed they had the tools to properly combat real-world trading and botting without ruining the game for the rest of the player base. But they were wrong. It didn't take long before botting and real-world trade were back in full swing. It seemed like just about everywhere you went, the game was teeming with bots, many of which were advertising websites where you could buy and sell gold. This is something that was deeply upsetting to Jiblix. He was very unhappy with how quickly bots overran the game as soon as free trade and the wilderness returned. Despite being a player moderator, all he could do was mute people. He had no power to actually investigate and ban bots. He found it ironic that RuneScape had been nominated for Free-to-Play Game of the Year, given how much of a mess the free-to-play version of the game actually was. The first thing most new players would see when they finished the game's tutorial was advertisements to buy gold. Even if they ignored those, they couldn't ignore how difficult it was to compete with resource gathering bots at every major training spot. So on August 15th, 2011, Jiblix released a video on his YouTube channel titled, "Is This the Good Deal?" In this video, he hops around to a variety of members and free-to-play worlds to show just how out of control the bot problem had become. Players knew it was bad, but most had no idea it was this bad. The most popular members worlds and every single free-to-play world were flooded with spam bots shouting gold selling links. Well, nearly every world was crawling with resource gathering bots. The longer the video goes on, the more shocking it becomes. It felt like there were more bots than actual players. At the end of the video, he displays the news post where Jagex asked the player base to vote for them in the Golden Joystick Awards and says they don't deserve to win this year. This video quickly exploded in popularity in the RuneScape community. The vast majority of viewers agreed with Jiblix that the bot problem had gotten way out of control, and that Jagex indeed did not deserve to win the Golden Joystick this year. However, this was just one small video that would likely get some attention from the player base, but not enough to make a dent in Jagex's Golden Joystick hopes. But then, Jagex threw a ton of fuel directly onto the fire. In response to Jiblix's video, they removed his moderator ranks. As for why, they told him it was because he had gone out of his way to discourage players from voting for RuneScape in the Golden Joystick Awards. They also said they wanted their mod team moving in the same direction, and that any kind of division was harmful to both the moderators and the community. This caused the community outrage to grow even more, and even inspired popular content creators like Silentcore to make videos covering the situation. Then, just when you think things can't get any worse, Jagex dropped a nuke onto the fire Jiblix had started. Just 3 days after Jiblix's video, Jagex would release the Refer a Friend program. If you referred a friend to RuneScape and they purchased membership within 2 weeks of joining, you would receive a 10% XP boost for 1 week. You could earn this boost 5 times a year. Plus, your friend would receive double XP in every skill they trained for 7 days up to level 30. This was hugely controversial for a number of reasons. The main one being that there was no rule against referring yourself. You could sign up for a second RuneScape account, buy membership on it for $6, never touch the account again, and enjoy a 10% XP bonus on your main. Then do it 4 more times that year. This was at a time when RuneScape didn't have microtransactions yet, so the idea that you could spend money for even a small XP boost infuriated the player base. Moments after the program was announced, players flooded into Falador on World 66 to riot against it. The chat was flooded with messages about how the game was pay to win now, Jagex needed to ban the bots, and my favorite part of riots, total nonsense. Most importantly for this story, however, they said that Jiblix was right. By now, his video had over 50,000 views and a 98.5% like to dislike ratio, and these riots would only further fuel its rise. It was clearly resonating with the player base. A few other player moderators even spoke out on the game's forums, but they too were quickly stripped of their ranks. Others who were unhappy with Jagex chose to quietly resign. But while players were rioting in Falador and exploding with anger on the forums, few knew what was actually happening behind the scenes. RuneScape's bot problem was bad, really bad. Jagex had known this for a while, but that didn't mean they were doing nothing about it. They had automated systems in place to detect and ban bots, though clearly they weren't working fast enough. On top of that, Jagex staff regularly hosted bot busting events with player moderators, where they would spend hours manually tracking down and banning bots. But most compelling of all, while this drama was unfolding, Jagex was working on a project that they internally codenamed Cluster Flutterer, an update to RuneScape that they estimated would break 98% of RuneScape's bots. That sounds way too good to be true, but their estimations were actually correct. When the update released later that year in October, renamed to Bot Nuke Day, it absolutely decimated the bot population. You can see just how devastating it was to bot farm owners based on the footage on screen. But of course, Jagex couldn't reveal that this update was going to happen months ahead of time, or bot makers would have time to prepare. So as players were slamming Jagex for not focusing on the bot problem, there was nothing they could do to show them that the opposite was true. This may not come as much of a surprise, but when 2011's Golden Joystick Awards took place soon after all this, RuneScape didn't win. They didn't even come close, as they placed 3rd. However, this was not Jagex's last chance to win one. RuneScape was nominated again in 2013, this time in the Best Online Game category. 2013 wasn't necessarily a bad year for RuneScape, but the year prior brought the Evolution of Combat, Squeal of Fortune, and Solomon's General Store. Basically the holy trinity of please cancel your membership. So yeah, they didn't win that year either. As for Jiblix, soon after losing his dual moderator status, he would announce his retirement from the game. He never did finish his goal of reaching 99 in every skill. Still, he would pop online from time to time to stay in touch with old friends, and even left one last message on the RuneScape forums last year when Jagex announced they would be closing. This probably wasn't the ending he imagined for his RuneScape career, but after everything, Jiblix left his mark on the game in a way very few players ever have. Check out the video on the right about Link's Titan. He's currently rank 1 on old school RuneScape's high scores, but he vanished 6 years ago without a trace.